Everybody, so on a warm-up, you have, just like yesterday, your original ABC makes this triangle. Now we're dilating by a number less than 1, which means it's going to get shrunk, smaller, right? So now, multiplying by 1/2, or it's like dividing by 2, right? So what's half of 2 and what's half of 4? What should I write? Nope, half of 2. 1 comma 2. So plot that point, 1, 2. That's my A prime. All right, and then B, half of -4, half of -2. -2, -1, 2, -1. That's my B prime. And then 0, -2, half of that. 0, -1. My C prime. Now, doesn't that look half as big? Wait a minute. My bad. This B was wrong. Try it again. Let's not do it wrong, Mr. G. Come on, Mr. G. All right, -2, -1. My bad. And then what? 0, -1. All right, there you go. Half as big. Little triangle. Cool. All right. Now we're gonna go over your last test, and I'm gonna give you an updated grade. For 1 second. Okay, so we're looking at the notes for transformations. Now, in the past, I would fill this all in. It would take a whole class. So instead, what I'm doing is I'm giving you it all at once. I typed it in. All the rules are here. So the 3 things we're talking about today are reflections, rotations, and then translations. Those are the other 3 transformations that we are going to learn about with these rules. Okay? So, first one's first. Does everyone see these big XY rules here? I'll give you these rules. You just gotta know how to use them. Okay? So here's the deal. You don't have the color because yours is black and white. But look in red right here. Pre-image. Okay? This is what we start with. A, B, C. This triangle right here is what we start with. Okay? So if these are my points, my rule for reflecting across the X, XY became what? Right here. X negative Y. Now, what do you think that does to the Y sign? Changes the sign, right? So check it out. The A was -9, +2. Now it's -9, -2. Does everyone see how this Y value changed its sign? And you just do that for every single Y value. And then you end up with this reflected across the X-axis in blue, okay? And the colors coordinate, right? This is that. Okay, so all you got to do is look at these rules. If you can write down the points, do the rule, you can get your new points and graph them. Okay, so let's go down the line and talk about them. Different rules. So reflecting across the y-axis, okay, what happened to xy? What do you see here? What's that? Is everyone looking up here? Yeah, the x sign has changed. Okay, so whatever the x values were, change the sign. Check out this. Y equals x. Do y'all know what y equals x is? It's this diagonal line right here. Right? Y equals x. If I'm going to reflect it across the diagonal line, y equals x, what happens to xy right here? xy is now yx. What happens? It just flips and changes the order. Okay? So if you see the words reflect across y equals x, you're going to take your points, flip the order. That's it. Okay, now rotations, this can be a little more complicated. Rotation of 90 degrees counterclockwise, xy becomes -yx. That's 2 changes, right? The y is now opposite, and the order has flipped. Okay? For 180, x and y are in the same place. They're both negative, though. For 270, the x sign changes, and then they flip the order. And then translation, you're just adding or subtracting from x and y. Okay? Now, I could show you all this on the front side, but I'd rather show you some examples. So we're going to use these on the back. So everybody flip it to the back. Let's try example 1. It should be, hopefully. Help me out here. Number 1. What's the first word on number 1? You can look at your paper to answer my question. What's the first word on number 1? Reflect. Now, we reflect across what? Reflect across the what? The what? The x-axis. Okay? So remember, there's 3 different reflections, but this is the x-axis one. So on the front side, reflecting across the x is my first rule. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to rewrite this rule on number 1. So let's write that. xy becomes x negative y. I got that rule from my notes on the front, right? So here's the deal. This original picture right here, I need to know those 4 points. So let's write down EPRM. Let's figure out these original points. What's the coordinates of E? What comma what? It's right 2 up 1, so that's, 2 comma 1. P is 1 comma 0 if it's on the line, right? What about R? What do you think? 1 negative 1. And M, 4 to the right, 4 down, 4 negative 4. Now, real quick, the rule is xy becomes x negative y. What's the only change here? The y has a negative. Now, that doesn't mean they're always negative. It means whatever it is, it changes. So positive becomes negative, and then negative becomes positive. So let's start with E. 2 positive 1 is now going to become 2 negative 1. But why change the sign, right? Now, 1, 0, when you change the sign of 0, it's still 0. So 1, 0 is going to stay 0. Okay, now 1, negative 1. If I change that y sign, negative 1 becomes positive 1. What about 4, negative 4? 4, positive 4. Okay? All I did was change all of the y signs because that's my rule, right? It's right here. Okay, now can you plot those 4 points? That's it. Gotta graph it. Some people stop right here. You gotta graph it. Okay? 2, negative 1. 2, negative 1. That's my E prime. 1, 0. Overlapping P. 1, 1. My R prime. 4, 4. Now it's kind of overlapping, right? But you connect those 4 points, and it should look somewhat the same. Just reflected across the horizontal x-axis. Okay. So do you see how I'm just using the rules from the front side? Graph those points, and it should look reflected across x, and it does, right? So again, if you know the rule, you can get the final product. Now, before I move it, you can see already on number 2, what's the first word? What are we going to do? Rotate. But what kind of rotation? Let's keep reading. Rotate the triangle, blah, 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 90 degrees counterclockwise. Rotate 90 counterclockwise. Let's go back to the front and get our rule. Okay, so I'm going to go to the front real quick. 90 counterclockwise. Rotate 90 counter. Okay, there it is. Now, this is probably one of the harder ones, so pay attention. If you can do this one, you'll be good. xy becomes negative yx. Okay, let's write that at the top of number 2. xy becomes negative yx. Okay. All right. So for b dx, we got to find those original points. What's point B? 0, 1, or 1, 0? Okay, 1, 0. Letter D is it 0, 3? 0, negative 3. So down, right? And then X is what? goes to the right. So 4, and then down is -1. 4, -1. Okay, now look at this rule. xy is now -yx. The first thing you always want to do is see if you need to change the sign, and we do. So we change the sign of y first, okay? And then the second thing we do is switch the order. Right, so first change the sign of y, and then flip places with x and y. Okay, so start with b. Now, unfortunately, I can't change the sign of y, okay, you with me? Because this is a 0. 0 stays 0, and then when I flip them, what's it going to be? 0, 1, okay? So again, these are your 2 steps. So let's change the sign of y. -3 is now a +3. So 0, 3, flip it, 3, 0. Good. So the negative, now the y value here is a -1. It becomes a +1. The 4, 1, flip it, 1, 4. So notice the order. First you change the sign that's needed, and then you flip it. Now, plot these points. 0, 1, my b prime. 3, 0, my d prime. And then 1, 4. Whoops, it's going to be kind of overlapping here. My x prime. Now, that hopefully looks to you rotated. So it kind of took it and rotated it 90 to the left, counterclockwise. So again, all we're doing is using the rules on the front, right? Now, if you want to start looking at 3, on the top right, what's the first word on number 3? Translate. What does translate mean? Change, okay. But in transformations, translate means to shift. Up, down, left, right, it's shifting it. It doesn't change flipping or rotating, it's just shifting. So, we good to go to number 3? Okay. Now, on number 3, you can probably get started on it if you want. Why don't you write down all the points on number 3 at the top there? So, yeah, 4 points. After we're done, we're almost done. Okay, don't do that. So, we have AKMD. AKMD. So, now I'm going to leave space here. So for A is -3, 3. -3, 3. K is -3, 5. M is -1, 5. And letter D is 0, 2. Now, I'm leaving space because I'm going to actually add or subtract from those numbers, right? Now, it's okay. Now, it says translate 1 left, 4 down. Who can't see? Okay, sorry. So 1 left, is that adding or subtracting when you go left? Subtracting. So your x values, these all need to be -1, -1, -1, -1. And then 4 units down is positive or negative? Down. Are you adding or subtracting for down? Subtracting. So down 4 means -4, -4, -4, -4. Okay. Now you can do, now that's one way to do it. You can do all that math. You know what's easier to do? Just count left and down, right? You tell me, tell me if this is easier. Starting at K. 1 left, 1, 2, 3, 4 down. That's my new K. Isn't that easier? Same thing with A. 1 left, 1, 2, 3, 4 down. A prime. 1 left, 1, 2, 3, 4 down. That's my M prime. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my D prime. Okay. So isn't that the same thing? Shifted 1 left, 4 down. So you can do it with math, the arithmetic, or you can just shift it on the graph. But either way, I want to know my final numbers. So for A, what is it, -4, -1. K is -4, +1. M prime is -2, 1. D prime is -1, -2. And yes, this stuff from middle school, revisiting it. But translation, shifting, you can do it by addition or by shifting. Last one, number 4. What's the first word? What does it say? Reflect. Now, reflect what? Over, do y'all remember y equals x? Is that diagonal line? Okay, so again, when you see y equals x, go back to our rule. Y equals x is right here. Boom, right? What happens to xy right here? Just changes the order. No, none of the signs change. xy becomes yx. Is everyone with me? We got one more. Pay attention. So, with the notes, so xy becomes yx. Write that down for number 4. And we're going to write down our 4 points, and then we're just going to switch the order. H and VQ. Point H. What are the coordinates? Good. -4, 2. What about N? 0, 3. What about V? Okay. 2, 2. You don't have to. And then Q, -3, 0. Okay. So again, if the rule is xy becomes yx, we're just switching the order, right? Let's rewrite these points. -4, 2 is now what? 2, -4. 0, 3. 0, 2, 2. 2, 2. -3, 0. 0, -3. All right, so plot those points. 2, -4, bless you. H prime. Oh my gosh. Y. Whatever. 3, 0. N prime. 2, 2. My V prime. 0, -3. My Q prime. And that's reflecting across that diagonal line, y equals x. Okay? See that reflection over the diagonal? Okay, so are you getting the idea? You're just using the rules, writing the points. Don't forget to plot the points. The point is getting a final graph, okay? So I'll pass out this transformations assignment.